Today we're taking a look at Pokemon Scale and Fang, a beautiful new ROM hack that has just surfaced. The game is a lot of fun to play, and it has a lot of new Pokemon as well. So without any further ado, let's see what Pokemon Scale and Fang is all about. As you load up the game, you get to choose your starting character, and these are characters we've never really seen before in any other Pokemon games. After choosing your preferred one and picking your name, you get thrown into the Okai region, and you're sitting at a table with a weird guy that's wearing sunglasses. His name is Alpha, and he's the head captain of the Xaxes task force. They're an organization that basically keep everything safe and develop a lot of new technology. I had to do an entrance exam in order to get in here, and as it turns out, I managed to get a perfect score on it. That's why I'm sitting here with the head officer. He's going to give me a powerful Pokemon and all the gear that I'll need in order to fulfill my missions. Oh yeah, another cool thing about this game is that you're not a silent protagonist, your character can actually talk. So you can kind of create a bond with him and see what your character is really like. After we're done conversing, I get to pick my starter Pokemon, but before I do that, I decided to check out the menu, which has been changed around too. With just one click of a button, you can go to your Pokemon, back, save up, or even change your settings, which is a cool thing, but it does take a little bit of time to get used to. The three Pokemon you can choose from are Acaf, the fire type, Polrivi, the water type, and Chicopi, the grass type. I think all three of them have very interesting designs, but I decided to go with Polrivi because he just looks like the cutest one to me. He then gave me a Revophone, which is used to communicate with other members of Xaxes, but you can also use this to access your Pokedex, your map, trainer card, and a music player that plays all the hottest tracks in this game because it also has its very own custom soundtrack. We don't get a mission yet because we're just a little bit too weak for now, but we get sent to the meadow so that we can get some training in. But in order to get to the meadow, we have to take the metro. But as we're heading over there, we head into Valencia City and run into a woman named Mimosa who's apparently an old friend of ours. So we tell her about our perfect test and that we've now joined Xaxes, and we also learn a little bit more about our goals and why we really want to join Xaxes. It's because we want to unite the Okai region again, since we're apparently at war with an army of beasts that live in the underworld. It sounds a little bit generic, but believe me, the story is actually pretty good in this game. We also tell her that we're headed to the meadow in order to train up a little bit, and that's when she wants to battle me for some extra experience. And finally, a game that doesn't start at level 5. Her Mareep is level 1, my Zami is level 1. Even though we are at a disadvantage here, my water gun still managed to just destroy it and immediately win my first ever Pokemon battle. After snatching Mimosa's number, we head on over to the meadow. After arriving there, we see that this is not your regular Pokemon game at all. There is no gyms that you have to defeat, but more importantly, once you enter a route or a new zone, you are not going to be able to go to the Pokemon Center, because there's actually not really many towns or any cities around except for the main one that you're in at the beginning. So this makes items like potions and paralyze heals way more useful outside of battle than they regularly are. So if you do decide to head out to these dangerous places, you should always be stocked up. I started to search around into the grass for new Pokemon and found a Beeline as my first one. Pretty cool design, kinda reminds me of Combi and Vespiquen a bit, so I captured it and started looking for more. But before I did that, I was admiring the art style of this game. It just looks so beautiful and also very calm. I also found out that honey trees are back in this game, so if you want to go for some honey tree encounters, you can do that as well. I also entered a trainer battle and saw that almost every single sprite for older Pokemon has been redrawn and just looks super cute. I mean, just take a look at this goofy little Lillipup. Don't tell me you don't love this new sprite work. I quickly found my next victim, Speen the Bean Pokemon. I can't wait for this one to evolve into a can of beans. I battled my spirit animal Nuttail and so defeated Camper Craig. I also grabbed a Chixley, which kind of reminded me of Farfetch'd, and the last buddy I found was Mistral, which I thought was going to be a grass type, but because it has a big nose, it just had to be a fairy. At a certain point, I ran into this guy that was eating honey straight out of a jar. So we call him out on it, and he seemed to get agitated very quickly, and decided not to play around at all, and immediately attacked me with a Pinsir that's level 5. With only a few water gums from Zami, we managed to overpower him and then smear the victory all in his face. After running off, we get a call from Alpha to come back to HQ in order to get our very first mission. We arrive back in the city and get stopped by a random random guy who gives me a key to my new apartment. And what's also cool is that you can actually go in there to decorate it like a secret base in Pokemon Emerald. They even made special sprites for the new starter dolls that you can also get. But if you really want to buy some new furniture and go to the shop, it's going to cost you a big penny. As we walk back into the HQ, we see that Alpha's in the room, but also a new guy. After immediately insulting him to his face, he says, "How dare you speak like that to your superior?" But we don't care. As it turns out, his name is Bravo and he is a task force captain. After our little squabble is over, we get a rundown of how the company really works, and then we finally get to the point, which is our mission. We have to go to the Spark mineshaft because it's been attacked and threatened multiple times in the past. And since the Spark mineshaft covers a lot of the energy for this region, we can't just let them suffer like this. The person we're looking for's name is Darris and he has red hair. Shouldn't really be that hard to find. So it's time to take the metro to the beach. But Bravo is already there, and as it turns out, he hates me. He doesn't trust me at all because I'm a low-rank rookie, hence why he's joining me on this mission. So he heads to the mineshaft on his own, and we get to explore the beach area. We first run into a new Pokemon named Pitrel, a water flying type that looks a lot better than Wingull. So after adding him to the squad, I decided to check out my party. They also made a new visual for the summary of a Pokemon, and I have to say that this one looks way better than the one in Leaf Green or Emerald. It really fits the game a lot more than the regular ones. We shortly after run into Mama Judy's, a fully functional cafe. While there might not be Pokemon centers around in the outskirts, you can go to these places in order to heal up your Pokemon for a hefty fee. Although most of the time it is cheaper than just spending all your money on potions. You defeat a Pumeow and then it's time to do some martial arts. As we enter a dojo and immediately get attacked by all of its members. They seem to think that we're some kind of person that's going to take this dojo away from them, but that's not why we're here. After beating all of the grunts up, the master then comes rolling in. His name is Kusa, and he explains to me the reason why his students attacked is because lately urban developers have been coming around to try and tear down the dojo and build new houses on the land. We explained to him that that's not why we're here. He was impressed by my battle skills and wants to test me himself, so immediately after, it's time for another Pokemon battle. He had 3 Pokemon, a Clobopus, a Throw with a really cool new sprite, which makes him look way more menacing than normally, and his last Pokemon was a Nuttail. Luckily for us, they were all fighting types, so Lenny was able to deal with all of them by using just a couple of pecks. After we win the battle, we head straight to the mine and see that Bravo is already talking to some of the workers there for more information. Darris seems to be on the lower level of the mine, making some more trouble, so it's time for us to step in. But first, we of course do some more exploring and grab a Dobat. A super cute bat that reminds me a little bit of Lunala fused with a Woobat. So this thing is absolutely amazing. But the next Pokemon that I found was my favorite one in this entire ROM hack, Bedcroc. The name is amazing, the design looks really goofy and reminds me a bit of Fuecoco, and I'm pretty sure I just love every single alligator type Pokemon. So with Dwight on the team, we destroyed some more monstrosities, pushed some minecarts out of the way so that we can get through, and reached Darris, who's been harassing the workers with his Voltorps. He's making them explode to destroy all of the machinery, which is very dangerous, so we have to stop him immediately. So we confront him and tell him that we're from the Xaxes team, but he immediately flees. So we go up to the worker to make sure that he's alright, and he tells me that Darris used to be a staff member here, but that he got laid off and that he took the news really badly and has now turned into a terrorist to try and take down the mine. After extinguishing some more fires, we eventually run into him again, but this time he isn't running. He doesn't hold back and immediately throws out his Pokemon. My being dealt with the Voltorps, and as it turns out, he's really gone crazy because he put his bear on fire. So I made sure to extinguish the little guy with Chick-fil-A's Aqua Jet. After claiming my win, he explains to me why he's doing this. He used to be an ex-soldier in a land far away, but one day he stranded here in Oak Isle after a mission and started working in the mine to earn his keep. But now he's been replaced by machines and that's something he can't handle. So after telling him that he's absolutely crazy, he then tries to escape. But we follow him down deeper into the mine, where me and Bravo corner him, and then Bravo also knocks him out cold with a punch. We talk to the workers right after, and they thank us for helping them, and Bravo makes sure the delinquent isn't going to see any daylight soon. On our way back to headquarters, we run into the same guy that was eating honey earlier. He asks me if I work for Xaxes, which we of course do, and he seems to really not like them. He tells me that they're a dark organization and that they have way too much influence over the region. They control the entire power grid, Pokemon centers, Pokeball factories. He's just really scared that we're going to try and oppress them soon. He doesn't want to waste any more words on us and leaves, so we go back to HQ, but as we step out of the metro, we run into Mimosa again, and she has a problem. So we hide behind the metro station and we see a guy running by. As it turns out, this guy's been following her around and she thinks that he's a stalker. So we tell her that we'll deal with him once we run into him somehow, and once she satisfyingly leaves, we get a call from Alpha. He gives me the money that we've been awarded for completing the mission, but also gives me my next one. He also tells me that we have to go and deliver a very important package. So we go back to HQ to go grab the package, but also get some extra information about it. The head of the research and development team requested a special item that they need for their unknown project. We have to go and deliver the package to a new section in the meadow that was previously blocked off by a rock climb wall, but we already got the rock climb TM right now, so nothing is stopping us from going there. We also ask Alpha about the underworld, you know, where all those weird monsters live apparently, and also the reason why we've joined Xaxes, but he tells me that we should not go anywhere near the underworld because the beasts there are way too strong and we would get killed. So we head to the meadow with our tail between our legs, but upon arriving there we see a bald looking character with sunglasses that looks pretty suspicious. He seems to be talking to someone on the phone about a plan that they've agreed upon, and he's going to have to execute it. He then runs off without even noticing me, so we head to the rock climbing wall and meet up with him again. This time he seemed to be waiting for me. He tells me that he has a meeting with the same guy that we have a meeting with, and he asks me to guide him there because he doesn't even know where it is. For some stupid reason, we decide to accept and take him with us. On our way there, we run into some strange phenomenons like a sound that sounded very menacing, but Rhubarb, which is the bald guy, doesn't seem to really care about it too much and just waves it off like it was nothing. Shortly after, he decides to leave my side because he needs to make a very important business call, so he says to me that from here on he'll be able to get to the building by himself. We just let him go because my character has absolutely no suspicion on this guy, and we train up a little bit more on the route before reaching the building. So I evolved Beeline into its evolution Hexahive and finally reached the Department of Research. It's being guarded by two big guys, but we explained to them that we have a package that we have to deliver to the head of the research department. So they let us in and we walk all the way to the back of the building. Here we see a ton of scientists working on what looks like an army of Pokemon-like robots. The scientists immediately notice me and tell me that I should not be here at all. So they want to send me away, but I explained to them that I'm here to deliver a package for them, and we also tell them that there was nobody at the front desk, so I couldn't just hand it over there. They explained to me that the woman at the front desk is probably just on the toilet sitting on her phone again. We give the package to Thistle and we ask about the robots, but they just swipe that away immediately and tell me to leave. But just as they were about to send me away, they get a call from the security team that the building is under attack by a very huge Phantom Cat, which is a Pokemon in this game. It's trying to tear down the door and it's also defeated all the guards' Pokemon already, so we rush outside in order to help them. So we talk to the guards outside and they update us on the situation. The Phantom Cat has apparently hidden itself somewhere in the bushes, but they were too slow to follow it. That's when Rhubarb, the bald man, comes running out. He's asking us about a guy named Hawk, a person that Darris was also talking about back in the mine shaft. He's gone missing and the last place that he's been seen is at the Xaxes HQ in Valenta City. But our scientists act like they don't know anything about it. He keeps asking about it because, as it turns out, Hawk owes him a lot of money and he wants it back. And that's when he attacks us with his Phantom Cat, a really cool looking Pokemon, and the fact that it's already so cool at level 15 means that it's probably pretty damn strong. Luckily for us, it's a dark type, so Hexahive was able to deal with it after just using 2 struggle bugs and a poison thing. Once the Phantom Cat is defeated, Rhubarb leaves very quickly, but we ask him one more question: who was the person that he was talking to on the phone earlier? Of course, he just says that it's a business partner and then runs off. Go back inside with Thistle. He gives me some magnet balls as a reward. No idea what these do. The receptionist is also back from the toilet, so we can go back on our journey. On our way back, I capture one more Pokemon, a Stroll. We then arrive back at HQ and report everything to Bravo. We tell him the reason of the attack was because they were looking for Hawk. Bravo explains to me that Hawk is a major player in the region's energy system, but that his whereabouts or the reason why he is missing are unknown. He also reassures me that Xaxes has nothing to do with this and that his last whereabouts were in fact not here. We also get our next mission from HQ. We have to go do some special training at the other side of town with all of the other Xaxes rookies. So after checking out the other side of town, we see that there is a game corner here, and what I do really like is that they changed the slot machines to Pokemon from this region. They really did go very detailed with this game. Really wonderful to see the passions that the devs put into this. Then we go to the tournament building and wait with everybody there. As it turns out, Mimosa is also here, but not for the same reason we are, because she's not on the task force. As it turns out, her big sister is a big executive at the Xaxes Corp, and she called her in today. So after a little bit of waiting, she walks into the room and explains everything to us. Her name is Pina, but we have to call her Captain Charlie. Now we have Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. Seems to be looking like a Battlefield game here. She explains to us that this is a special tournament that only Xaxes employees and outsiders with great potential can join. And at the end, there will be a very big prize. So we head straight to the lobby and into our first battle with just a random scientist. He was super easy to beat, and after the battle, my starter also evolved into probably the best middle stage evolution we've ever seen, Anna Livy. After the battle, we also talked to Mimosa, who won her first battle too, and seems to be pretty surprised about it. After telling her how I wiped the floor at my opponent, a random guy starts talking to us. And we recognize him fairly quickly. It's the stalker from before. We confront him about it, but he tells me he wasn't the stalker at all and that his name is Sunny June, aka CJ. He doesn't explain why he was following us around or anything, and acts really mysterious about it. He also tells me that he's going to wipe the floor with us, and that's not something that's gonna happen. In the second round, we destroy another random woman, and round 3 is no different. But once that round's over, we have another cutscene together with Mimosa and her sister Pina. They're talking about the tournament and how well Mimosa's been doing, but she also tells me that Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie are of course codenames, and that Bravo's real name is actually Hyssop and Alpha's real name is Carlos, and that these codenames have been chosen by the CEO, Edevan. So we ask Mina if she could arrange a meeting with me and Edevan, and she could do that, but first she wants us to do something. But in order for her to tell me what she wants me to do, we first have to reach the final round of the tournament and then win. So let's get back to battling. And our fourth opponent is going to be our friend Mimosa, so let's show her no mercy at all and destroy her with Chick-fil-A and Hexahive. She had a pretty easy team to beat: a Chixley, a Stroll, and the Mareep that she started out with, so nothing special. But once our battle was over, another evolution happened. Chick-fil-A turned into Paturel, less cute and way more menacing. After the match, Mimosa congratulates me, and we are wondering who our final opponent is going to be. Of course, it can only be one person. CJ will be my last opponent. He seems to be very surprised that we made it to the final, but he's ready to crush me. But we're not holding back either. He also only has 3 Pokemon, a Chingling, a Mistral, and a Pokemon that I've actually never seen before, Duombra. I'm pretty sure it's either a Ghost or a Fairy type, maybe even both. But Zami and Hexahive cleared them out. So the tournament is finished and we get our reward, which is a moped. So I guess this works like this game's bike. So they wrap up the tournament and we head outside, where me and Mimosa are talking about how fun the tournament was until Pina shows up and finally tells me what she needs me to do in order to get an appointment with the CEO. We have to go deep inside of the sewers of Valenta City, because there's a secret room in there that stores an artifact. It's really important and it's been left there for many years after the beasts attacked from the underworld. So we have to go and retrieve it for her, but as you can see, CJ is spying on us and heads in the same direction. After our talk, Pina and Mimosa leave because they have some business to attend to, and we go make our hands dirty in the sewers. It's a pretty creepy place and there is no real way to light it up, as I've found. But the first thing I had to do was go and search for a switch in the darkness. Once you flip this switch, all of the water will be drained and you can walk around on the lower level. After looking around for about 20 minutes, I eventually found a very secret looking door. And upon entering, I see two familiar faces. CJ and the guy from before that was eating honey that we still don't know the name of. They've been working together for quite some time, it seems like, but they have no idea what this artifact is. After we introduce ourselves, we learn that this blue guy's name is actually Taran. Yeah, the same Taran that was working with Rhubarb to attack the scientists. Taran explains that Hawk is actually his brother, and that Xaxes has got to do something with his disappearance. That's why he's doing everything to get in their way. He tells CJ to take the artifact and run while he keeps me busy in a Pokemon battle. So CJ runs and we clash. He has 3 Pokemon, starting with something that we haven't seen before, a Sturbib. Chick-fil-A takes it out, but his next Pokemon, Bedcroc, is able to finish me off with Rock Throw. Hexahive then finishes it off with a Mega Drain, and the last Pokemon is his big boy, Pinsir. We're just able to use 4 Struggle Bugs and win again, but Taran doesn't seem too happy about this loss, because he immediately scolds at me and then leaves. So we decide to call Pina and head back to the headquarters to tell her everything that happened. Bravo is also there, and of course, he's once again like, "Are you useless? How did you manage to lose the artifact?" But it was a 2-on-1 situation, so there wasn't really a lot I could have done. We have to retrieve this artifact as soon as possible though. Fortunately for us, they have been able to track down CJ and Taran's whereabouts. Taran has fled to the tundra where me and Bravo are going, and CJ has gone somewhere totally different, so Mimosa and Pina are going after him. So we take the metro to the tundra, and upon arriving we see that it's a snow landscape, filled with dangerous cliffs and ice types. We of course do some unnecessary ice puzzles just to get a useless item, and capture a snow bunny named Colkit. Another cute Pokemon, but sadly enough it's ice type, so it's probably not going to be that amazing. On our hike up the mountain, we run into this guy with a wagon, and he basically works the same way as the cafe from before, so you can heal up your Pokemon here if you're down to spend some money. After a long trip, we reach the top of the mountain and go inside of the cave there. And eventually I found another way out of the mountain, and this brought me to Snowbrythe path. Beware, this is not the way to go because it only leads back to the other mountain and to a dead end. So even though I spent about half an hour on this route doing basically nothing and just exploring, my reward was a Swaflake. And after beating up some literal demons, we go back into the cave, taking a ladder that leads us to the lower level that's filled with lava, so this has to be a volcano. After doing some amazing parkour, we reach a dead end where Taran was waiting for us. He asks me why we joined the Xaxes Corporation, and we explain about how we want to take down the underworld and reunite the region. But in order to take down the underworld, we have to become important enough so that we can get access to it. Taran admires that about me, but he also tells me that Xaxes is up to no good because he got a call from his brother explaining that he found a very dark secret about Xaxes that would shake the entire region up. But just as they were about to meet up, he disappeared. So now we think Xaxes must have silenced him. But even after all of Taran's efforts, they are still no closer to the truth. So we decide to cooperate together. Taran's going to let himself be captured by Bravo, who's coming here any minute now. This will allow him to go to jail, where maybe his brother Hawk will also be locked, so he might be able to find him there. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and rise up through the ranks so I can gain the trust of the higher-ups, so that I might be able to uncover their secrets. So me and Taran exchange numbers and are now partners in crime. Bravo comes running by and he praises me for being able to corner Taran. He then takes him away to the prison, and this is sadly enough where the demo ends. I do have to say that this leaves me very intrigued of what the rest of the story is going to be like, because I'd love to know what kind of secrets Xaxes are trying to sweep under the rug. I'm also super interested in the characters. They are all pretty damn fleshed out, and the Pokemon all look very amazing, so I can't wait to see more of those either. Anyway, I would love for you to go and give Pokemon Fang and Scale some support. I will leave the links to it in the description below, because once again, just like Pokemon Crown, this might become a gem if it gets finished. I certainly enjoyed playing this demo. The only thing I really did not like is that I wasn't able to use speed up to grind up my Pokemon. That's right, that's something I haven't really mentioned yet, but there is no speed up in this game. If you try to speed up, your game will glitch out. So it's basically like playing a regular Pokemon game on a DS or a Game Boy. And the reason that they did this is because people speed up way too much through games, which takes a lot away from the immersion, which I totally get, but I would still like a speed up button to try and grind up in between battles. Anyway, that's my only complaint with the game, so without any further ado, I want to thank my membership and Patreon supporters for supporting the channel. If you want to do so yourself, you can click the links in the description. It's always appreciated, but not needed. And as always, people, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm Zwiggo, and I'll see you guys next time.